The Bengals have added multiple key pieces to their roster in free agency, including Sheldon Rankins, Trent Brown, multiple weapons for Joe Burrow. So, what's next, and are they done adding? Let's answer those questions right now on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Hi again, everyone, and welcome in to CBT. I'm James Rapien of allbengals.com. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, and thank you. That's right. Thank you to all 43,000 plus that have hit that subscribe button. It's wild, really wild to think about, but here we are, and it's all thanks to you. 43,000. It's our George Iloka year, or George Iloka stretch at least, because hopefully we continue to grow this year and get past the 43,000 mark. But thank you for all of your support, whether it's super chats during our live streams, whether it's watching, subscribing, telling your friends about us, all of those things. And shout out to Andrew Fox Miller as well, who him and we host Enter the Jungle every single Tuesday at 8 right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. What are the Bengals going to do next now that they have a 6'8", and he's literally listed at 380 pounds, Trent Brown, as one of Joe Burrow's bodyguards? What's next? What could they do? What will they do? Well, let's start here. I don't think they're done. And I don't think they're done adding in free agency, because you look at that cornerback room and the depth just isn't there. You don't feel great about the depth behind Cam Taylor-Britt. You don't feel great about the depth behind DJ Turner. And I do think both of those guys start. You have Mike Hilton and Jalen Davis as the starter slash backup nickel. So I feel good about those two guys too. So there's four guys. And then after that, it's like, all right, what are they going to do at cornerback? And you look out there and there are some good corners available. And that's really the interesting part of this. Is it's really good when your need matches up a position in free agency that hasn't blown up and hasn't been in high demand. And cornerback is certainly one of those positions. Just looking at the Bengals depth chart here, outside of, like I said, Cam Taylor-Britt, DJ Turner, you have Allen George, you have DJ Ivy, and DJ Ivy's coming back from an ACL. There's just not a lot of outside depth. And I'm sure some of you are saying, oh, we'll move Dax Hill there. It's not that simple. I wouldn't do that. And even if you did want to do that, that's such a wild card, having him switch positions. So to me, the Bengals are going to add a corner in free agency. And so when I look at the cornerbacks available, Stephon Gilmore is at the top of the list. I would love for them to do that. I think he can still play at 34 years old. I think he would help the Bengals. I think he would be signed for less than the 1 year, $10 million that Brad Spielberger of Pro Football Focus projected. And a lot of these guys will, mostly because the market just kind of stopped and they just aren't out there. Other options, Adoree Jackson is still out there as we record this. I think that, let's see here. Where's Akilla Weatherspoon is certainly someone at 29 years old, because you're trying to find the age. Christian Fulton, I know there's some interest from the Chargers. That's someone I would pay attention to. But I keep coming back to Rock Ya-Sin. And one, if you could add a stone and a rock to your secondary in free agency, you do it. But Rock Ya-Sin is 28 years old, played for the Ravens last year, has been solid if you look at his coverage scores over the past few seasons. I think he's solid. Now, they may say, all right, we'll bring back Eli Apple and go that route. I don't really see that happening, but I guess it could. The point is I expect them to add a veteran corner between now and the draft, and we'll see who it is. We'll see if it is a familiar face or if it's someone that they could try to rebuild or remake. I think Christian Fulton would make a lot of sense. I think Rock Ya-Sin would make a lot of sense. Those are the two I would predict if I had to. But it's not just there, because we know defensive tackle is a big one, and there's just not a lot out there. Like the Taven Bryans of the world have agreed to a deal, even though it's not official, I don't believe. Sebastian Joseph Day, I believe, has agreed to a deal. So it gets thin really, really quick. And yet I still think they find someone. I would go with Calais Campbell. Now, he's not a traditional nose tackle, and he's 38. So the Bengals aren't going to do this. Just to be clear, I would be shocked. But he's still a really good player. He's good against the run. He can get some heat on opposing quarterbacks. He's been there, done that. He's played in big games. And you're trying to win. And you're trying to win now. And I think he would be a culture fit. And I think he would certainly give that defensive line room a boost. So that's who I would look to. But to me, I think they will go after one of these nose tackle types. And who knows? Like, Josh Tupou's still out there. They could bring him back as an option just to get a body in there. And that's kind of where we're at as far as the defensive tackle market is. Assuming they don't get something done with T.R. Tart, I don't think the door is slammed shut on Tart. I think it's cracked. And so we'll see. Maybe they do end up getting something done. And if they do, that's why you should ring the bell, because we're going to have you covered. But those are the two big positions, right? Cornerback depth, defensive tackle depth. And you've heard that from a lot of people. There are some other spots as well that I think the Bengals should focus on. And who knows, maybe we'll focus on. We will discuss those coming up next. But I have to tell you about our friends at Rivertown Inkery and rivertowninkery.com. For all the out-of-towners, just go to rivertowninkery.com right now. Open up another tab as you're watching this video. Pull it up, rivertowninkery.com. And whether you're a bourbon drinker like me and you want a Tiger Rocks glass, and their Tiger Rocks glasses are awesome. Maybe you want some Cincy Hat gear. Maybe you want some CBT gear. Maybe you want the newest local brand shirt to wear on opening day for the Reds. Well, this is how you can get it, by going to rivertowninkery.com or checking out their two locations, one in Oakley, one in Findlay Market and OTR. Make sure you check them out. Doug and his team do a tremendous job. They have a lot of awesome stuff. I was texting with Doug a few weeks ago. I need to get back into the store. It's been a while since I've been to the store. And so got to check out rivertowninkery.com in person for the first time in a while. You can too. Make sure you check out the website as well at rivertowninkery.com. And if I'm the Bengals, I would be checking out this interior offensive line group, because I'm looking at this and I think there could be some steals here. And that doesn't mean that I'm talking about a starting level type player. And I know some of you would look at that and say, all right, Dalton Risner, go after him. I'm not sure that the NFL views Risner the way people outside of the NFL do. But I'll give you a guy. Guard Greg Van Roten comes from the Raiders last year, had a 75 overall grade on PFF, was their 7th ranked guard. Bolster that interior depth. Why not? Why not go after someone like that? And by the way, full disclosure, some of these guys could sign at some point. But if you could add a center, someone that's capable of snapping the ball and giving you something there behind a guy like Ted Karras, who you know is going to start, who you know is going to be stable. Well, what happens if he gets nicked up? Right now, it's Trey Hill. You need someone else. Last year, they had Max Sharping. Maybe it's as simple as they bring Max Sharping back. I do think they could look at potentially bringing back Mitch Wilcox. I think that's a post-draft type thing at tight end. It depends on what they do at tight end in the draft. And then at running back, it's interesting because I like what they've added, of course. I really like Zack Moss, and we'll have more on him in the coming days and weeks. But the Clyde Edwards-Helaire thing, he's just sitting out there. And if I'm Clyde, I would try to get onto a team now. What team are you more comfortable with than the Cincinnati Bengals? I think a Zack Moss, Chase Brown, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then you have Travion Williams there as well, who obviously knows the system. You can still draft one, and I think that's what would get in the way right now. Is he could be in the boat of let's wait and see what happens in the draft. But if you're the Bengals, adding Clyde for what I think would be a borderline minimum contract, certainly something to consider. But bolstering the depth at center, giving that a boost, giving your defensive line a boost, I think that's a priority. And I think it's going to be tough to do in free agency at this stage, especially the defensive tackle part of it. I will say that I think there are some interior linemen out there. I think corner is certainly something they address. Would not rule out Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And outside of that, I think they're pretty much done and moving on to the next phase. And that means that we are going to give it a few more days, but we are going to give them a grade for what they've done in free agency. So that's coming. A ton of draft coverage. We will pivot and start to really focus in on the 2024 NFL draft. Man, it is 5 weeks away. 5 weeks away from the NFL draft, and we're going to have you covered every step of the way right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. So for Andrew Fox Miller, our channel coordinator and co-host of Enter the Jungle every Tuesday at 8 Eastern right here on CBT, I'm James Rapien. As always, thank you so much for watching Cincinnati Bengals Talk.